Yo, what's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, Vikings brass was at the league meetings down in Arizona, and they were asked about the Vikings quarterback room, and they had a lot to say on J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray, and then also, could Kevin O'Connell be making some major changes to his offense for this upcoming season? We'll unpack it all on today's show. But if you guys could, hit that subscribe button today. We are 10 subscribers away from 71,000 here on YouTube. So first off, thank you to everybody who has hit that subscribe button over the last couple of weeks. And if you guys are watching right now and aren't subscribed, help us out. Just need 10 more of you guys to hit that subscribe button today and help us reach 71,000 subs. So it was first Vikings owner Mark Wilf talking about J.J. McCarthy, and this is a quote he had saying, "I think J.J. has a bright future ahead of him. He's incredibly talented. We certainly have confidence in J.J. McCarthy, and I know Coach O'Connell does as well." And the one take across NFL media and even some Vikings media that I think is just absolutely ridiculous and almost naive is to say that J.J. McCarthy's career is for sure stamped and over with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I think for 2026, probably over. Like, I think it would be very unlikely that J.J. McCarthy beats out Kyler Murray in this quarterback battle, but also, best case scenario, like, no matter how you feel about McCarthy, no matter how you feel about Kyler, this Vikings organization, the best case scenario for the Vikings this offseason is to have J.J. McCarthy beat out Kyler Murray in the quarterback battle. Now, obviously, it would take J.J. McCarthy getting a whole lot better this offseason, but who says a 23-year-old quarterback can't get better? I understand in the microwave society we live in right now, we want results right away. And if a quarterback in their first year starting, if they look like a disaster, everybody's just going to write them up as a bust. Now, McCarthy, obviously in a different situation than other quarterbacks, most of the time when you're drafted high in the NFL draft, you're coming to an organization that doesn't have the infrastructure that the Vikings organization had. And obviously the Vikings have everything in place for a quarterback. You got two great wide receivers. You got a really good offensive coach. You got a good offensive line. But who says a 23-year-old quarterback can't get better? And who says JJ, like, maybe it's not for 26, but what if he takes another redshirt year this upcoming season? Then in 2027, what if the Vikings say, hey, we'll just ride it out with JJ McCarthy again, and hopefully he ends up being good? So I don't think it's completely over for McCarthy here in Minnesota. Now, KOC was talking about McCarthy, saying he knows what it felt like to go in there and do some things at a very high level. Now it's about consistency, being in a competitive situation, not for any other reason than to continue the arc of trying to become the best player he can possibly become. And I thought KOC, the first part of that quote, was true. Like, there were flashes this year with J.J. McCarthy. He was second in the entire NFL in big-time throw percentage. Now, the consistency part is obviously a huge concern because J.J., he's got a live arm. He's got a massive arm. He can run, or he can throw on the run. You can push the ball downfield. Like, you don't lead or you aren't second in the league in big-time throw percentage unless you can do that. But it comes down to consistency. Can you hit over and over again those 5 yards out, 5 yard outs, and just keep the chains moving? That's going to be the growing part for J.J. McCarthy. And obviously his mechanics, throwing off that back foot, definitely needs to improve. But no matter what you think of McCarthy right now, he will be better next season. Is it 1%, 2%, 10% better, 50% better? We'll have to wait and see how he develops this offseason. But knowing his mindset, knowing how hard he works, and his dedication to the game of football, I fully expect McCarthy to look completely different. And than he did this last season. We might only get a look at that during the preseason if Kyler Murray does end up winning this job. Now, they're also talking about Kyler Murray, and this is what Mark Wilf had to say, saying the first thing on his mind was, I want to win championships. That's what we're about too. He's going to be a great addition. And I think if you look at every single team this offseason, every single position group, the Minnesota Vikings quarterback room got the biggest upgrade out of every NFL team. That's why that one Fox Sports article I thought was one of the most chicken shit articles that we have seen, where they said the Vikings had the worst offseason out of every single NFL team, alluding that they lost Javon Hargrave. They lost Jonathan Allen. Just tell me you watched the Vikings without watching the Vikings. Both those guys didn't play last year. They're in the second half of the season. They were pretty much nothing burgers, but they're big names. They get headlines. That's why people look at this Vikings offseason. All right, they didn't bring in a lot of talent, but they brought in Kyler Murray. You brought in a guy who was a former number one overall pick, a guy who was a top 10 pick in the MLB draft, a guy who was a Heisman Trophy winner, one of the best college quarterbacks we have seen, and the best Texas high school quarterback we have ever seen. I believe in the talent. I believe that once he gets in the right organization, the Vikings could get a lot out of them. And also, the Arizona Cardinals, since 2022, when Kyler Murray doesn't play, they're 5-25. They're one of the worst teams in the National Football League. And KOC, he's obviously excited about it, saying Kyler is dynamic in the keeper game and movement game with his natural athleticism. I see a lot of ways that we'll be able to continue the evolution of our offense in year 5. And obviously, Rob Brzezinski, current Vikings interim GM, said, we've got a really good room. We're excited about it. I do like the Vikings quarterback room because you have a veteran in Carson Wentz who knows the system. He was here last year. You have a guy like J.J. McCarthy who you're hoping takes huge strides during the offseason. He gets a whole lot better. Then you got a guy like Kyler Murray, like I was saying, number 1 overall pick talent, who has went to a horrible organization. Hopefully him, in the new change of scenery, he looks a lot better. We have seen this not just in the NFL. We have seen this across sports. The amount of times where you have an ultra-talented player with a bad organization have a change of scenery, and they look great. I mean, the best example is Sam Darnold here in 2024 with the Vikings. And I got a lot of faith in Kyler Murray, and I think he's going to lead this team back to the playoffs. I think the Vikings will have a top 5 defense. You just got to have a top 15 offense. And I believe with Jefferson, O'Connell, the tight ends you got, the offensive line you should have an improved run game. Vikings should be a lot better than what they were last season because of Kyler Murray. Still, the biggest reason the Vikings didn't make the playoffs last year, and I hate burying the kid, but it was because of J.J. McCarthy. Not just his on-the-field performance, but him not staying healthy. I still think if McCarthy stays healthy for all 17 games, the Vikings probably make the playoffs because you're assuming he gets a whole lot better as the season progresses. But overall, I think the Vikings offense will be a lot better. But you guys let me know, will the Vikings be back in the playoffs this next season? Let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a Y for yes, give me an N for no. Call your shot down below in the comments section. Curious to see what you guys got to say. I'll talk about the Vikings offense changing here in just a second. But if you guys could go to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50off will hook you guys up with 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Somewhere between the first warm weekend and realizing short season is getting close, eating well stops feeling optional. Factor is how I stopped letting a busy schedule be my excuse. Fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, ready in just 2 minutes, so there's no planning or no cooking. They got quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. Also, no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils as well. They have meals that fit your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein. That is Factor. So head on over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use promo code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. This offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. All right, let's round out today's show talking about the Vikings offense and specifically Kevin O'Connell and how he can change the look and the philosophy of his offense compared to the last couple of years. Because we know KOC. I got my gripes with him staying more committed to his run. Honestly, just his overall running scheme is near the bottom in the NFL. Short yardage play calling definitely an issue. But also, there is probably only a handful of coaches in terms of passing game concepts that I would take over this guy. When it comes to pushing the ball down the field, getting your star wide receivers open, KOC is at the top of the league. And I think the wrinkle we're going to start seeing is leaning more into a mobile quarterback. And I think KOC has made it clear that they will lean into Kyler Murray's strengths, as you should. Kyler Murray is a unique quarterback. He is not Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, these statuesque pocket passers where they almost have to run the play and be on time and within the system to be successful. Kyler Murray, yes, he can do that, but his bread and butter, his superpower, if you will, is him playing backyard football. When the play breaks down, he's scampering around the pocket, he's making stuff happen. And also, I think, watch out for more quarterback design runs because this guy, he's still got juice when it comes to running the football. Back in 2024, which that 2024 season, we all rave about Darnold's year in 2024. By the numbers, the advanced analytics, Kyler Murray was better in 2024 than Sam Darnold was. All the EPA numbers, all the success rate, Kyler Murray with a bad support system in Arizona, he played some great football that year, and he's still on the ground, almost ran for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I think the number one way how you want to improve your running game, if you want to take your running game where the Vikings have been around the 20 range over the last couple of years, if you want to take it to a top 10 unit, adding a rushing quarterback is a great way to do so because you look at some of the top rushing offenses in the NFL. Obviously, having a good offensive line, good running back, that's probably the main two reasons on having a good running game. But also look at the Eagles. They're a great running offense. Well, they got Jalen Hurts, a mobile quarterback. The Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. You just have another guy to account for, and then it's just a numbers game once you get into your run fits. Where the Vikings, with Kyler Murray now, you have a guy you have to account for pulling that football on every read option. Maybe the Vikings shift more into some pistol. Maybe they go more running out of the shotgun, which they haven't done over the last couple of seasons. So the best way to improve a rushing offense in the NFL, yes, improve your offensive line. Yes, get a dynamic back, but also getting that hyper-mobile quarterback is a great way to do so. And also, don't sleep on the hire of Frank Smith. I think this is going to be a hire where if we're playing like dream scenarios, how this Viking season plays out, this could be something in mid-November. If the Vikings have a top 5 rushing offense, I think everybody's going to start getting their articles out there, be like, oh, the hidden secret in the Vikings organization was Frank Smith. Came from Miami. He's had great running games there. He is well respected in league circles as being one of the best rushing offensive minds in the National Football League. So don't sleep on this hire. And also, the Vikings running back room, you definitely need more talent, I think. But Jordan Mason's a stud. I will still go the bat for Jordan Mason. I think he's going to have a massive year. And then you got Aaron Jones mixing in there. Xavier Scott, we'll see if he ends up making the roster, especially if the Vikings end up drafting a running back. But for all you fantasy football guys out there, I think Jordan Mason is going to be a home run pick. You could probably get him later on in your draft, but he will be a focal point of this Vikings offense. His rushing yards over expected stats, even last year, where the Vikings offensive line was banged up for majority of the season and the running game wasn't fully there, Jordan Mason still was at the top of the league and getting the most out of every single carry throughout his NFL career. That's been his calling card. With the Niners, he was one of the best running backs in terms of rushing yards over expected. He's a physical, bruising back. He's got great vision, and I still think Mason, we haven't even scratched the surface on how good he can really be in the NFL. So I fully expect him. Maybe he'll have a 1,000-yard year, 10-plus touchdowns. Like, that's fully on the table for Jordan Mason. This is one of these moves where the Vikings, they made it last year. I don't think we saw the dividends paid out this past season, but I think we'll see it get paid out this upcoming year. So watch out for Jordan Mason. If you play fantasy football, I would fully expect to draft him at some point during your drafts. But, hey, if you guys want the Vikings to have a top 10 rushing offense this upcoming season, hit me with those goals down below in the comment section. Appreciate all of you guys for watching. Another video coming out later today. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.